What is up, investors? Jason here. So in this video, we're going to be talking about some of the Chinese tech stocks that have taken a little bit of a hit. Now, the main one was DIDI Global, ticker symbol DIDI. Now, DIDI Global, the ride-sharing company, this one went public back over the summer here in the United States, and it had a bit of an issue with, one, that the Chinese government was not really pleased about the way that that went public here in the United States because they share a lot of information, and they ended up having a lot of regulations put on their company. Another one was Alibaba, who had multiple things going on, but they were also an investor into DiDi, and they've had multiple hits taken to their company because of that. So we've seen a bit of a couple of hits to their stock price here in 2021. And then another one is Tencent, ticker symbol TCENY, or TCEHY, sorry. Now, Tencent, they are, of course, the largest video gaming company out there, and they're invested into a lot of different things like EV, like they're investors into Tesla and in NIO. We're also going to talk a little bit about JD.com. Now, we've seen some interesting things happen with JD stock, and we're going to talk about NIO. We're just going to do a quick overview of each one of these and just talk a bit about the performance of their stocks. So as we do get to it, if you guys don't mind, please do me a huge favor. Please be sure to smash, destroy, annihilate, or just gently press that like button. It helps me out a lot with the YouTube algorithm. I'll spread the videos to more people that might find it interesting, and subscribe if you have not already. Now let's get to it. So DIDI Global, Chinese ride-sharing company, the largest Chinese ride-sharing company at that, and it's invested into by Uber, Alibaba, Tencent, etc. So it was a really big IPO when they went public back in late June, and we saw the stock come out like pretty much swinging. It hit the market at about $18, which was a really big price increase from where it had its IPO, but it never lived up to any of the hype that it had behind it because the Chinese government was pretty upset with the way that they chose to go public in the United States, put a lot of regulations on them, and pretty much we saw the stock within a matter of weeks drop down from that $18 price down to a price of around $7 within like 3 weeks. So it was a really depressing stock for a lot of people, and it never really was able to recover much of any of the hype that it had. We saw a price of the stock going between around like $7 to $10, kind of just staying within those price ranges until recently we saw the stock drop off a bit more after they announced that they're going to be delisting themselves and just going on the Hong Kong exchange. Now, surprisingly, though, we're seeing DiDi retrace a little bit of its price before it made that delisting announcement. Currently, at the moment, DiDi stock is up about 9.88% at the date that I'm making this video on December 6th, right after market close. Now, for the reason why we're seeing DiDi's price go up is just because simply there was such a large dip by so much selling off that had happened throughout last week, and other people are just coming in and buying up DiDi at these lower prices because they're going to be delisting themselves from the New York Stock Exchange and going on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange does not mean that you won't be able to still sell them over the counter. And that's what a lot of people just recently started to realize, that that your shares of DiDi are not worthless. You can pretty much still trade them with your normal brokers that you would do otherwise. So that's why we're seeing the price of DiDi currently going up, is just because there's now a lot more buying in from that dip, and some retail investors, now knowing that news, are now also putting their money back into DiDi. So hopefully, for anybody that is currently jumping in right now, hopefully this does all play out for the positives, and we can see a lot of these regulations that the Chinese government did put on DiDi for being listed in the United States. We see that go away and things just get better, and DiDi becomes a stock that a lot of people had really expected it to be when it initially went public back in June. Now let's look over at Alibaba, ticker symbol BABA. Now this is of course a large online retailer, competes with Amazon. A lot of people here in the United States invest into Alibaba, and the interesting thing here is the price of their stock, because what I'm showing you here is Alibaba stock back in the beginning of 2019, January of 2019. Alibaba's price was still higher than it currently is at this moment, and it actually hasn't been this low for a few years, actually. The price that it's currently sitting at is a price that they were last at back in June of 2017. So the price of Alibaba stock has come down quite significantly recently. So looking at even like the beginning of the pandemic, when there was a lot of selling off during the pandemic and we thought a lot of doom and gloom, we didn't even see the price of Alibaba stock dropping anywhere near where it's currently at this moment. And we even saw a big recovery in the price of Alibaba right after the pandemic. And we saw the price of their stock go up to around $320 at the end of October of 2020. And then at that point, the price of the stock had tipped over a bit and it just continued dropping to where we're currently at. We're currently at the price of Alibaba stock being at $123.60. So it lost more than half of its value in a year. But on a positive note, on this particular day, the price of Alibaba is up more than 10%. And something to look forward to is that there is an earnings report to come out at the beginning of February of 2022. And hopefully we may have some good news with that because, of course, Alibaba does deal with a lot of business here in the United States. And there could possibly be a good amount of shoppers here in the U.S. buying from them, and maybe we might see the revenues go up. That's going to be something worth following and keeping up with. All right, now let's talk about Tencent, because Tencent, which trades on OTC under ticker symbol TCEHY, Tencent is one of those companies that kind of has their hands in multiple different things as far as tech goes. They're the largest video game company. They're invested into Activision and many other video game companies that are out there, as well as they have applications and streaming services, and they're big investors into EV like NIO and Tesla. So they have a lot of money in different areas of tech, and this is a stock that we had seen really climb a lot in 2020, pretty much right after the pandemic happened. Then we just saw the price of Tencent stock just make some very aggressive moves upwards to even around like the middle of February, the stock going upwards as high as around like $100 at that time. But then it tipped over, and then we saw the price of stock drop significantly. And now we've been seeing it doing a bit of sideways trading. But the interesting thing here is, well, one, the price of the stock currently is at $58.45. And the other thing is that the earnings here, it's just always been positive surprise after surprise after surprise, pretty much all through the entire time of the pandemic. And they have another earnings to be looking forward to in March of 2022. So great things to expect from them, but we're not really seeing a lot of things really reflecting on the price of the stock recently. There's been, of course, these regulations in China that are affecting their stock price, and it's affecting the price of Alibaba stock and JD stock, etc. But there's a lot of great things that could really happen with Tencent. There's a lot of benefiting factors to this company and a lot of different areas that are very profitable for them, but we're not seeing any of that reflect on the price of their stock, mostly just because of these regulations. Now, something worth mentioning with Tencent stock is that before we were seeing this recent drop and this recovery in the price of Tencent that had happened with the DIDI announcement, what we were seeing happen was we were seeing a bit of consolidation, a good amount of consolidation within the price. And that's definitely something that's worth paying attention to, that we were seeing the price consolidate so much. There could be a potential breakout to happen with Tencent stock here in the not too distant future. And that really wouldn't surprise me, seeing just how much the stock has dropped with all this positive earning information. So these regulations are definitely playing a lot with the stock price in general. And I wouldn't be surprised we wouldn't see the price of Tencent stock having a big breakout possibly by the end of this year or sometime early in 2022. That's definitely worth keeping an eye on, in my opinion, and definitely something that I'm going to probably double down on here very soon. Now let's hop over to JD.com, ticker symbol JD, online retailer. And this is an interesting one, though, because we were seeing just really good performance with JD stock all through 2020. We were seeing just amazing things happen, just consistent positive earnings and we had seen the stock hit a high of around $108 in mid-February, and then we saw it tip over and go on a bit of a decline, and then start changing directions again over the summer and start climbing back up. Now, just over this last week, we had seen the price of JD stock go from around $92 to going to where it's currently at $75.19 at this moment. The interesting thing, though, is that there is a lot of potential here for a big recovery with JD stock just by how much it has dropped in such a short period of time. And I wouldn't be surprised that we wouldn't see JD continue to retrace a lot of the highs that it had back in February and just continue going up from there. It's going to be one that we have to follow and see how things do play out. Now, these regulations have been really hard on the EV space in China. So NIO, for example, ticker symbol NIO. Now, NIO had an amazing run in 2020. If you would have bought NIO stock at any time in 2020 up into November, you would have made some pretty good money if you had sold it by the beginning of January of 2021. But now looking at NIO's price, where it was at a high at the beginning of 2021 at around $67 in January, and currently the price of the stock is sitting at $32. So it's lost more than half of its value by the end of the year. And it's a much different scenario from where they were at in December of 2020. And so many big things have happened between that time and now. I would have thought that we would have seen NIO's price being upwards around $100 or even more, just seeing how things have been developing at the company, how their numbers of deliveries have just gotten bigger and bigger, and how they've really expanded their production so much throughout the year, but it's not reflecting any of that on the price of their stock. And I'm still very bullish on NIO. I think that we're going to see things possibly turn around for the good, but it's still all waited to be seen. And that's one of the risks involved with investing into these Chinese companies, because who knows what could happen. But I think that we might be seeing a shift in all these Chinese stocks, in my personal opinion. Now, if we did see the bottom with these Chinese stocks, and they do report really good earnings throughout the rest of 2021, and we can really start 2022 off with a bang, then there's a lot of room to really grow with a good majority of all these Chinese stocks. Alibaba has a lot of room to grow. JD still has room to grow. NIO, of course, has room to grow. And that's what we're going to need to see play out. Now, I'm very bullish on these stocks, but of course, there's a lot of risk involved, and especially with the talks of potential delisting. Anything is, of course, possible. Don't take any of this video as any sort of financial advice. This is all just my own personal opinion, but I do like hearing everybody else's opinion. So please do comment below. Let me know your thoughts of all these stocks and what do you guys think, and are any of you guys invested into them? So with that being said, please like, share, comment, subscribe. New videos coming on my channel all the time. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you all in the next video coming very soon.